Hi friends, welcome to another Roots of Peace yoga practice. Today we're going to do a nice little practice focusing on our hips. Hips get tight sometimes and that can cause other problems in your knees and in your back and all kinds of discomfort. So today's practice is going to do a lot of different hip opening positions, and then we'll also do some windshield wiper knees to kind of counterbalance all the hip openers that we do. So we're going to start in seated butterfly position, so the soles of your feet come together, nice straight spine, just working into your body for these first few breaths. So deep breath in through your nose, exhale out through your mouth, letting gravity slowly sink your knees down further towards your mat. Inhale through your nose again, exhale through your mouth. Keep going with your deep belly breaths as you settle in. Just checking in with your body, noticing what's going on before you start your practice, where you need to be mindful, maybe careful, or where you need to find an edge. Maybe you need a really intense stretch in your hips today. A couple more breaths, making sure the soles of your feet are together. Luna's chasing a bee. I don't know if you saw that, so hopefully she didn't catch it. A few more breaths. Settling in. Maybe one hip is a little bit tighter than the other one. Okay, now coming into tabletop. A few rounds of cat-cows here, just to fire up our spine, warm up a little bit more. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, really flexing your spine into cow. Exhale, pushing up into cat. Keep going with your breath. And as I always say, if you want to throw in some side-to-side movements here, you sure can. Ooh, I can feel that in my hips, actually. I do side-to-sides for my shoulder blades, but my hips are pretty tight today, so it's doing all the things. Couple more rounds. Really working into your spine. Inhale, coming up into high plank. Exhale, down dog. And in your down dog, you can walk your dog. So moving your heels closer down to the mat and then coming back up. Taking a few breaths here. Make sure your shoulder blades are spread apart. I always have to remind myself of that. How silly. All right, inhale, right leg goes to the sky. Exhale, you're settling it down in front of you in Pigeon Pose. So your knees bent, and again, every body is different, so your pigeon's gonna look much different than mine does. In Yin Yoga, they call this Swan Pose, and you hold it for 1 to 5 minutes, depending on where you're at. But we're doing a Yang practice, so it's more active. That's why we only stay in a pose for 3 to 5 breaths, depending on what I'm doing. So you want to try to get your right shin kind of perpendicular or parallel with you. Perpendicular, I guess. Yeah, that's what it is. But mine doesn't come all the way forward, so depending. But you should feel a nice stretch in your glute in this pose. Gaze is forward, just above the top of your mat. You don't want to crank your neck back. Deep belly breaths. And then once you're settled, if you'd like to go into Reclining Pigeon, on your next inhale, you're going to slide your hands forward and drop your head down to your mat. And depending on how your shoulders are, will depend on where your arms go. You can go like this or come together. I drop my elbows down to support myself a little bit more. If Reclined Pigeon is too much, you can stay in regular pigeon. We won't be here for very long. One more breath. Inhale, coming back up into pigeon. Staying here for another round of breath. And then pushing yourself back up into down dog. Luna's just going all over the place today. A few breaths here. It must be the hot weather. They're just on the go. Inhale, left leg goes high this time. Exhale, in front of you for pigeon on your left. And you'll notice the difference from one side to the other, I'm sure. Maybe not. If you're even, that's awesome. Balance is great. Pushing down evenly with your hands, spreading your fingers nice and wide. Again, you should feel the stretch target area will be your glute for this one. Breathing into the pose, releasing as you breathe. And on your next inhale, dropping down into Reclined Pigeon on your left. And if you're in Reclined Pigeon, making sure you're not hunching your shoulders. Sometimes when you prop, you're propping a little too much. Apollo must have seen something. One more breath here. Oh, corgi butts right in my face. Coming back up into Pigeon Pose. See, it's much more entertaining with the dogs in the videos, for sure. And lifting yourself back up into down dog. A few breaths here. Luna. Luna loves down dog. She's a big fan. She loves to use me as a bridge too, so works great. Okay, inhale, coming into high plank. And then you're going to chaturanga, so lower yourself. And if you want to drop your knees to lower down all the way to your belly, you sure can. And then inhale, coming back into child's pose, just for a few breaths. For extra love with your hips, you can have nice wide knees for this. Oh, my deck is dirty. My pants are getting all dirty. They're nice wide knees, and that'll help stretch out your hips and stuff, and your inner thigh, the seam of your inner thigh too, which is really important. But if you want to bring your knees together, every body is different, so just being mindful of how you feel and what feels best for you during your yoga practice. Inhale, coming back into tabletop high plank. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, right leg high again. Exhale, stepping it to the outside of your right hand, and then your left knee drops down for lizard pose. Lizard pose I have mixed feelings about. Sometimes I really enjoy doing it, and other times I'm like, pass. So, this is where my lizard pose stops. However, if you are really flexible in your hips, you can drop your elbows all the way down to the mat, or if you have a block handy, you can rest your elbows on a block as well. But this is as far as my lizard will go. And then just tracking that your knee is over your ankle. I almost said shin. Over your ankle. You don't want it off to the side or drawing inwards. You want it right over the top, and again, making sure that your knee doesn't go over your toes. Always stacking our joints. Same with our wrists, should be under our shoulders for this one. And you should really feel a good stretch in your left hip on this one. Staying with your deep breaths. And this just hanging out. One more deep breath. And on an inhale, stepping back into high plank, going into down dog. Few breaths here. Hopefully this practice finds you well, either in your house or outside. It's a beautiful day today. It's getting a little warm, but it is almost July, which is wild to think about. Inhale, left leg comes up to the sky. Exhale, step it on the outside of your left hand. Right knee drops down to the mat. Getting yourself positioned, checking in with your joints, making sure they're all stacked. Fingers should be spread wide, and then you're grounding down with all four corners of your left foot. And again, if you are pretty flexible in your hips, you can drop down. I can't. Or if you have a block, you can rest your elbows on your block as well. Gaze should be towards the upper part of your mat for this one. You don't really want to do this because it'll do some funky things with the back of your neck. Few breaths here. And on this side, of course, you'll feel the stretch in your right hip this time. And in your left glute a little bit. Ooh, there's lots of pollen in the air. My nose is itchy. Focusing on your breath, finding your edge, especially in this pose. And on an inhale, coming back into high plank, going into down dog. Again, you can always walk your dog. I walk mine all the time. Coming forward into high plank. Pitch forward on your toes if you would like, and then chaturanga all the way down. You can drop your knees if you need to. And exhale, pushing back into child's pose. Just regrouping here, taking a moment. On your next inhale, coming up into tabletop, pushing up into high plank. Exhale, down dog. So I'm going to do one more pose for both sides, and then we'll flip over onto our backs for a few more things. So just a quick little hip opener today. Inhale, right leg goes high. Exhale, step it in between your hands. Setting up for high lunge, so making sure that all your joints are stacked. Again, your lunge is going to look much different than mine. You're going to ground down with your left hand, and then inhale, right arm comes up to the sky for high lunge twist on your right. You should feel it. Sorry, my gaze went, there was a wasp by my camera. Your gaze should be this way, or it can be looking up at your hand. Either way, it can be forward, or not forward, I guess it'd be out to your right side, looking out to your right, or up at your hand. And once you found your balance, on an inhale, you're going to lift your left hand up, a little wobbly today, for high lunge, open face twist. Checking in, making sure where your knee needs to be should be over your ankle. One more round of breathing here. And inhale, cartwheel your hands down to frame your foot. Exhale, step back, high plank, going into down dog. Now we get to do it on the left. So inhale, left leg to the sky. Exhale, step it in between your hands. Now I have to look away from you, darn it. So grounding down with your right hand this time, and then inhale, bringing your left arm up to the sky. And again, gaze can be out to your left side or up at your left hand. Pushing down evenly with the four corners of your left foot, helping to stabilize. And once you've got your foundation, lifting your right hand, coming up into high lunge, open face twist on your left. You should feel a good stretch in your right hip on this side, and then left hip after you did the other side. Cartwheel your hands down to frame your foot. Exhale, step back, high plank. Going into down dog. Few breaths here. And then bringing yourself forward, chaturanga all the way down. Oh, Luna did it with us. And sending yourself back into child's pose. Coming into your breath. Staying with the present. Hopefully you have some nice music playing in the background or something like that. I did try to plug in a few sceneries for you during this practice, so hopefully that was helpful. Just some nice calm videos of nature, which is always good. All right, bringing yourself up into tabletop, and then you're going to find yourself on your back. So however you got to get there, if you want to cross your legs like I just did and then roll back onto your bottom, whatever you got to do. But finding yourself in half corpse pose. Apollo's kind of in the way. I'm sure you can still see me though. And then on an inhale, coming up into full happy baby. This is a nice juicy stretch for your hips. I used to have mixed feelings about this pose as well, just because it was kind of hard for me to get into, but I really, really like it now. And with happy baby, of course, there's modifications. So if you can't quite get to the bottoms of your feet, you can grab onto your ankles or your shins, or you can even rest your hands on the backs of your knees. You can also take your peace fingers and grab your big toes too. So however you need to get into your version of happy baby, do it to it. Deep breath in. Exhale, lower your left leg all the way down. Have happy baby on your right. Again, targeting one hip and then the other, just so we can give them both a little extra love individually. Inhale, full happy baby. Exhale, release the right side this time. Half happy baby on your left. Taking a few moments here. And feeling the difference, again, from side to side. It's always good to check in with your body, and that also keeps you present so that you're not stuck in your head worrying about stuff that you might not even need to be worrying about. I do that all the time. Inhale, full happy baby. You can wiggle your toes and rock your baby side to side. Deep breath in. Exhale, release. Bring the soles of your feet together for Reclined Butterfly. We won't stay here very long since we did quite a bit of hip stretching for this little practice. So afterwards, if you want to do another yoga practice that fires up something else, that might be good. Or maybe you're good to go for the day. These quick ones seem to serve people very well sometimes. Okay, and like I said, we're going to do counter pose. So bringing the soles of your feet, planting them at least mat width apart. You want really, really wide feet for this. We're going to do windshield wiper knees. So on an inhale, dropping your knees down to the right side of your body. Exhale, center. Inhale, left side. Exhale, center. Inhale, dropping right. Exhale, going center. Inhale, dropping left. Exhale, going center. Again, hopefully you can see me. I'm not sure where Apollo is in frame. You can keep going with your breath, and if you want to do your windshield wiper knees a little bit faster, sometimes we like to just move side to side really, really quickly in between our yin poses. So it's totally up to you, but again, if you want to do the nice somatic movements that are paired with your breath, you can do that as well. Your practice. Keep going with your breath. We'll do one more round on each side. So going right, center, and left, center. Now bring your knees into your chest, wind relieving pose, and you can rock side to side. Give your low back a little bit of a massage here. And inhale, curling up into a nice little ball, so head and shoulders lift up off the mat. Kidney rinse pose. Giving yourself a hug. Thank you, body, for doing all the things you do for me. Deep breath in. And exhale, lower all the way down into Shavasana. I get to have a furry friend on my foot for Shavasana, so that's really nice. Keeping with your breath for these last few moments, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Noticing how your body feels after your practice. Specifically your hips, because that's what we were trying to work on today. Having your eyes closed so you can settle in to your Shavasana. Two more deep breaths, noticing the sensation of air as it fills up your body. Then you can start to wiggle your toes and your fingers. You're still in Shavasana. For those of you that may have peeked at your screen, I'm upright, but you're still in Shavasana. So wiggling your toes and your fingers, coming back to awareness. And then gently rolling over onto the right side of your body into the fetal position, eyes closed. And taking a moment to show yourself some sort of inward appreciation. Whether it's, I'm really smart, or I'm really flexible, just giving yourself a compliment and holding on to that compliment throughout your day. When you're ready, come up into a seated position. Eyes closed, hands to heart center. Thank you so much for joining me for another Roots of Peace yoga practice from my deck. May this practice find you well and serve you however it needs to serve you. Namaste.